market that we operate in, the hair removal wax market globally is set to touch $18.8 billion by 2026. Our top three competitors in the marketplace, specifically in Canada, but some of these companies are also global, would be Nair, Parissa, which is Canadian, and Veet. As you can see, the image on the top left-hand corner, these three brands have multiple millions of dollars in sales each year. And so that gives you an idea of our potential in the market as well. So our product, we offer strip-free sugaring paste, accessories, and training designed to teach people and give them the tools and supplies they need to sugar wax themselves successfully at home. We allow our customers to enjoy the benefits of sugaring in the comfort of their home. And as you can see, we have managed to differentiate our product in the marketplace through branding, as well as creating a proprietary formula of sugar wax that is equally functional to our competitors, but is also distinct in that we have added natural colorants. And all of these factors allow us to create a unique brand in the marketplace that is specifically designed to resonate with consumers. And I believe that the sales that we've been making to date have shown that our brand image does resonate with consumers, and there is a desire for our products in the market. So at the moment, our team is myself, the founder. I have a Bachelor of Arts in International Development Studies from the University of Winnipeg. I'm also a project management professional and have several years of experience working for various organizations in different industries. And I have over 10 years of making and using sugar wax on myself and my friends and family. So our immediate goals over the next 1 year of operations, we launched in September of this year. Our next goals is to scale our production capacity, launch in new markets, and also to expand our product line beyond the one product that we are currently offering at the moment. The primary challenges that we're facing is lack of sufficient capital to invest in scaling our production and launching new products. We are also looking for support and guidance as we are growing rapidly. So we would like to make sure that we are making strategic decisions and growing efficiently. So our ask at the moment, we are sourcing up to—
Just to let you know, there's 30 seconds left.
Okay, we are looking for financial support to increase our production capacity and launch new products, as well as for our marketing efforts. So in conclusion, hair removal is a growing market. There is tremendous potential. Our brand is positioned to fill this market gap by providing consumers with the products, accessories, and training they need to sugar wax successfully at home. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I welcome any questions or comments.
All right, so thank you for that presentation, Ajoke. We're now going to pass it over to our panel of judges. And the panel of judges just go over the, you have 5 minutes to give feedback. And after that, we'll move on to the next presenter. So the next presenter should get ready. Right now, we have 116 Kitchen, Wamaka and Unicorn going up. So I'm going to give the floor to the judges, and you guys can go ahead.
Ajoke, it's Cheryl Bedard speaking. Good presentation. How do you plan on doing your marketing? What format is your marketing going to take?
So right now we are looking at doing pay-per-click advertising on Amazon.
Sorry to cut in, Ajoke. Can you help us stop sharing the screen? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Has it stopped?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, okay. So at the moment, we are looking to expand our pay-per-click advertising on Amazon. Additionally, we are going to work on influencer partnerships and other paid social media campaigns on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. We do also have a Google Shopping campaign as well.
Okay, have you looked at going on to one of the television shows that sell online?
Like the Shopping Network?
Yep, the Shopping Network, because this product has been done about 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
And it was done very successfully on the Shopping Channel in Toronto and on QBC.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely something we would be open to in the future. I think at the moment, our immediate goals is to ensure that we have the capacity to meet the demand if we are on those types of platforms.
And you have a website?
We do, yeah, sugarwax.com.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so thank you for that presentation, Ajoke. Right now, we're trying to sort out getting Nancy on the microphone. So just bear with us. We're going to move over to our next presenter now. Up next, we have 116 Kitchen. The entrepreneur's name is Nwamaka Onyenokwe, and we're going to be giving her an opportunity to share her screen now. So the floor is over to you, Nwamaka Onyenokwe. Sorry, just give us one moment. We're just trying to get Nwamaka into the main room. Okay, so thank you, and Maka, you can actually start sharing your presentation. And I'm going to time you. You have 5 minutes, and you can start. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute to go and 30 minutes to go, and when it's time, you can go
ahead. Do you guys see my screen?
We see your name.
Perfect. Do you see my screen now?
I see you.
Perfect. That's what you need to see first. Alrighty, I am going to begin.
So we're actually, Amaka, can you actually pause the video? I think we'll play it from our end. We're having issues hearing the sound.
All right.
So we're just going to play the video from our end and stream it into the live stream. So right after that, then you can have the opportunity to answer.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Amaka Onyenokwe, and I am the creative director and head chef at 116 Kitchen. I am also a design and construction professional by trade. Now, as a food enthusiast, I've always, championed the idea of promoting, illustrating, and educating the world on the richness of, Nigerian cuisine, our Nigerian flavors, and our Nigerian spices. Now, in my pitch, I had introduced 6 products. I had broken it down into 3 wet and 3 dry products. The first 3 include a Nigerian pepper sauce, a spicy mayo, as well as a Nigerian jollof base, which will be tomato-based. And then the dry ingredients include a Nigerian jollof mix, which will be the seasoning mix, a pepper soup mix, as well as a suya jerky. Now, the richness of these flavors are usually developed through, developing these spices for an extended period of time while you're cooking. Now, what my brand is trying to achieve is to cut out that prep time for anyone interested in still enjoying the flavors without the extended time to actually prepare these ingredients. Now, I'm going to illustrate in a video how you can utilize the pepper soup mix to make a quick soup in a couple of seconds to enjoy these flavors. And I believe that this program will help me to get my ideas to the consumer, to the shelf. So please watch this video and take it in to see how quickly you can prepare pepper soup in your home. Thank you.
Okay, so Maka, you can actually take control of the sharing of your presentation now. Thanks for the video.
Okay. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. All right, is everyone here and can see?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So 116 Kitchen is a culinary company that I created in 2016 with the initial concept as a mobile kitchen. I'd like to introduce myself briefly and the journey of this brand. I am an experiential and food enthusiast, and I've been so for as long as I can remember. Cooking and developing recipes, it really comes naturally to me, and I enjoy cooking for everyone. Over the years, I have curated and collaborated and even hosted and managed the logistics of pop-up restaurants and events. And at my last event in 2019, I launched a homemade sauce with an enthusiastic reception from the crowd, who pretty much sold out everything that I had on the menu and eventually ended up buying the sauce after they ate their meals. Now, in an attempt to get these recipes out into the market, I'm currently part of a food incubator program that's designed to assist Afro-Caribbean foods to get to grocery shelves. I introduce to you right now Alte flavors. This is a product line that is birthed from the same premise to develop instant meals for the foodie at heart. And this capsule collection would include 4 products highlighting one ingredient, which is pepper, which is heavily used in our cuisine. So the plan is to come up with 4 products, which will be a pepper soup broth, a jollof pepper sauce, a hot pepper oil, and a pepper mayo sauce. Now, the intent is to have these pepper products be instant sauces, ready to use from packaging, or it could also be incorporated into other dishes. I've come up with an initial business model, and the first step I've done is to join this food incubator program to begin the initial steps of research and development. And what they're trying to do is help me package this product and get it to
1 more minute.
I can actually get this to shelves and even get sponsorships if possible. My market or my client is a flavor-loving, busy foodie who is requiring easy access to gourmet-style Afro-fusion cuisine. And I do plan to distribute through grocery store sales, website sales, email subscriptions of meal kits and recipes. I plan to engage with people through social media and hopefully get sponsorship to get to the point where I'm now at the ask for $10,000. I am asking for this to help me market this product as well as develop and manage a website. The incubator program I'm involved in right now is helping me develop the product, but I really am asking for money to assist in marketing said product. Thank you. And I'm open to take comments and clarifications.
All right, thank you for that presentation, Amaka. We're now going to hand the floor over to the judges. So we have Cheryl Bedard and we have Ida Slovato. We're still trying to sort out the third.
Okay. Can I ask you where you're doing your production, please? Do you have a company that's producing the products for you?
We haven't started producing yet, but we will be working with food scientists, and this incubator program will assist me in actually developing this product.
Okay, so how far are you away from actually making a sale?
Well, in one of my pop-up events, I did make some sales, and we made maybe about 30 bottles, mini bottles of these sauces, and they all sold at $5 a bottle, and they pretty much all sold out. And
okay, so that was it was sort of from your own home kitchen.
No, it was at an Afro-fusion event.
No,
so,
the production.
Oh, the production, yes, from my kitchen, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I will be requiring some sort of kitchen facility to eventually end up producing these products.
Okay. Yes. There are what they call white label companies that do produce other people's products.
Oh, I see.
So that would be one of the things you would be looking for, is a company already set up with a high-speed filling that can produce your product for you.
That would make sense, actually, and that's outsourcing is because one of the challenges I faced with this with the brand is pretty much doing everything on my own. But the moment I start getting assistance and outsourcing certain aspects of the business to other people, it eases.
Then it'll grow.
Exactly. You know, and that's where I'm looking to go. Like, I know that I can do this on my own, but right now it's getting to the point where it needs to be done in large scale. Instead of making 30 bottles, I want to make 300 bottles.
Not only that, but you do have to have the ingredients listing properly. You have to do it in French and English. There are very strong labeling laws that need to be followed.
Yes, understood. And all this, I believe, is going to be part of the incubator program.
I hope so. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. And we have Idas as well as we have Nancy in the room. So I'll let Idas go first, and then Nancy, you can ask the questions after. And I hope judges are taking notes so we can ask questions after the presentation. Idas, you can go ahead.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So congratulations on your passion for developing a food product. Women do incredibly well in food-related businesses. And I'm wondering if you've started thinking about your internet presences in terms of being able to sell these products online, just anchoring your footprint in maybe Facebook, Instagram, and other socials, so that, well, like, first of all, if people love what you're doing, they can quickly do a Google search and find you. So have you started thinking about some internet presence for your brand, so that as you're going through the accelerator and people are asking you about what you're doing, that they have a place to connect to follow, and then as you're releasing products, you can make announcements to that community that starts to follow you?
Of course, we actually do have a following right now on Instagram. And one of the ways that I engage currently with my following, and even throughout the pandemic, which is really what sort of gingered me into doing this, was I do live recipes. I develop recipes. So I do this, I'm posted on my platforms, and there's a lot of engagement because people I was getting really good reception with people actually asking me and telling me that they're making these meals that I've created on there. So this will be a platform that I would use to promote this product because there's already engagement currently happening right now. So I want to take that up to the next level and actually have a website, which is our own official portal instead of sub-social media portals, something to connect everyone to a particular hub. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is great, but I would like to have our own in-house site that links to these social media portals. But currently, yes, we do have engagement heavily on Instagram. And in fact, I probably would type up our Instagram handle. There's evidence of all of the recipes that we've done, and you could see feedback from people. So that's something that I know. That's the one way that people are really going to know about this product, by pushing sales and pushing marketing through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Idas, for the feedback. Nancy, we're going to give you an opportunity as well to ask some questions.
Yeah, hi. So I have a question. You may have already addressed it, but I just wanted to know, what is the, right now, how many clients do you currently have?
How many clients do I have?
Yeah.
Well,
the potential market right now. That's what I'm
potential market, I can't speak on a potential market because we have hosted pop-up events. We're a mobile kitchen. So this is a new product that's coming out of the brand. We've never really had one item that we've sold. We've sold items off of menus, and they range from different prices. And every time that we've sold, I've probably hosted about maybe 10 events. I've always sold out. And I would say I usually cater to about 100 to 150 max, serving of 150 people. So that's pretty much the amount of sales that I know that I can do with food. And this is not even just a product, but what I've created from multiple products to give this final thing, which is this dish, which was sold. But I know that in my last event, I used one of the sauces in one of the meals, and eventually people ended up buying the 30 small bottles of the sauce. But that was just my test to see if people would really receive this thing on the side, outside of just eating a sandwich or a nicely created meal, but would they be interested in also having this flavor at home? You know what I mean? And manipulating it and utilizing it in a different way. So,
okay. So at each pop-up event, you get about 100 to 150 people? Is that correct?
Yes, this is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Denise, to unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Cheryl. Sorry for the issue there. So thank you very much for the feedback, Nancy. What I want to do is, so up next, we're going to play a video of one of our presenters, Ashni Shah. So she recorded a pre-recorded version of her presentation. And then after that, she's going to answer some questions. She's currently in Kenya, so she just wanted to be certain so she doesn't have any technical issues. So we're going to play that video, and right after the video, we're going to introduce her into the panel discussion, and she'll have an opportunity to answer questions. So I just wanted to advise all the presenters to, if you can, just put on the camera so everyone can see who's speaking. And then also one other thing I wanted to mention is just considering the issues we had initially, right after this presenter is done, we're going to add Ajoke back into the panel session just so she can get an opportunity to be questioned by Nancy, and as well Idas if you have any questions, or Cheryl if you have any further questions. And we'll let that session run for roughly about maybe 2.5 minutes, just considering the technical issues, just so it's there. So up next, we're going to play Ashley Shah's video, after which you'll have an opportunity to answer the questions. So we can go right ahead.
Securely store and share your personal documents. So I'm going to start with a question. How do you share personal documents like your passport or your driving license? Is it through tools like email and WhatsApp? A few years ago, I was helping plan a bachelorette party, and what ended up happening is we had 8 people send me their passports to make the booking process easier, since we were going to another country. Of those 8 people, I'd never met 3 of them before. My phone automatically downloaded all the images from WhatsApp to my camera roll, and my camera roll automatically uploaded all of those images to both Google Photos and Amazon Photos. These 8 people have effectively lost control of their documents because it's now stored on other servers that they have no access to. And it's not an uncommon occurrence. I'm constantly getting requests, and my friends are constantly getting requests for passports, IDs, even marriage certificates through tools like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and email. And it's not just individuals. Businesses are also making similar requests where in order to open an account or move forward in the process, you need to submit things like passports, driving licenses, T4, tax documents. And this is happening all the time. Unfortunately, one of the side effects of COVID is this is happening more and more, where traditionally in-person businesses, like accountants or lawyers, have had to make adjustments and request these documents through email or some other shared device or shared tool, which effectively leaves you as a consumer unable to control who has access over your documents in the long run. So looking at some numbers, 41% of internet users have shared or scanned a personal document. 1.5 billion data breaches have occurred in 2019 alone in just the US. And of that, 164 million records were exposed of people's personal information. Enter Talongo. Here you can securely store and share your personal documents. So let's look at the benefits of storage. The entire, all your documents are end-to-end encrypted, which means you're the only person who can actually access this information. You can also create a library of useful documents, so it's not just your driving license and passport, but also the title deed to your home, your marriage certificate, or your birth certificate. Talongo would automatically alert customers about expiring documents, and because it's an app on your device, it's accessible from anywhere you are. One of the other benefits is whether you're storing it on your own device or sharing it with someone else, Talongo can actually block screenshots, so no one else can copy your information for nefarious reasons. Now let's look at the benefits of sharing. You can create a family hub where your loved ones have the ability to access your information and you can access theirs. You can also create self-expiring links for individuals or businesses. So whether you're planning a bachelorette party or trying to connect with a lawyer to get your legal process moving forward, you can send them a link which they can only access for up to a week or a month, whatever time you set. After that, the information is no longer available. This is extremely powerful to unlock traditionally in-person businesses to be able to move online, especially in countries like Africa, where we are a little bit behind in some technology tools in order to do this. One of Talongo's future goals is to integrate directly into other businesses. For example, if you want to sign up for an Uber account, you need to verify your ID by uploading a driving license. Instead of uploading a driving license, you can effectively tell Uber, hey, I'm giving you this token. I authorize you to access my information from Talongo. If you're familiar with Plaid, this is effectively Plaid for personal documents. One of the great benefits of Talongo is, as a user, you can track and revoke access to any of your documents now and in the future. So your current options in the market are Dropbox, Google Drive, and 1Password for storage. And if you need to send them to anyone, that's usually email, WhatsApp, or a business portal, which is usually not a great experience. What's missing is a way to both securely store and share this while still retaining control of your documents in the future. So COVID has had a huge impact on the world over, and it's caused a massive accelerated digital transformation that we discussed earlier. What COVID's also done is highlighted many existing issues, especially around privacy and security. However, these are existing. Policy changes like GDPR and CCPA show that this is a recurring theme for many years. Consumers are also getting wiser about privacy concerns, especially after major issues like the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal or the more recent Twitter hack. So we've currently launched an end-to-end encrypted consumer app that focuses on storage, and we have about 30 people currently going through the beta program with 140 on a wait list. We're getting early feedback around the app direction is amazing, but they need the share features, which is what we're currently working on building. We intend to use a freemium model of $5 a month per user and want to target digitally literate parents and immigrants because from our over 60 user interviews, we've learned that these are the potential customers that are already looking for these solutions. So just a quick industry breakdown. 57% of the world's population are internet users. Of that, 41% have shared and scanned personal documents. Just grabbing 10% of this market over the next 3 to 5 years is 185 million users. Charging $5 a month, that becomes an $11 billion company. So hi, my name is Ashni. I'm a multinational citizen of 4 countries, one of which is actually Kenya, and I understand every pain point around organizing and securely storing and sharing documents. I'm also a former software engineer at Square, Microsoft, and Amazon, where I've built global products. I'm currently in the On Deck Fellowship Program as well as the Mozilla Builders Incubator, and I'm working with a security engineering consultant as well as a developer team to build this out. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay, so thank you very much for that presentation, Ashni. If you can put your camera on and the judges as well, I'm going to hand it over to the judges to ask questions. And just to go over it one more time, so once the judges are done asking questions to Ashni, we're going to give the judges another opportunity to ask Ajoke the questions that they were unable to the first time. So Ajoke, just hold tight. Once the questions here are done, we'll jump to the judges so they can ask you those questions. So sorry, you can go ahead, judges.
Okay.
Hey all, I hope you can hear me.
I have a couple of questions for you. Have you researched who else is also offering these services? Because I am aware of a number of them.
So the research that I've conducted is most of the existing solutions for this are offering it directly to businesses instead of individual consumers. And okay. the big differentiation there is like, I want to do this so that consumers have the ability to control their documents, where in the other cases, they don't actually have that option.
Okay, so the ones that I'm talking about that I've been introduced to are sold to both individuals and to businesses. So you might want to just do a little more research in North America to see what they're doing. What level of security do you have on the documents?
So the documents themselves right now are being encrypted on the device on a key based on an encryption key that's based on your password. So we use password stretching on an AES 256 algorithm, and we're adding a lot more security features to it moving forward as we build the share features out. Okay, so it has to be at least at the bank and financial level of security? Yes, yes.
Okay, so how are you going to advertise these to individuals around the world? Because there are no borders for you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes us really exciting. In our beta program and through our waitlist, we already have customers from 7 different countries that are excited. And these span Kenya, the UK, Spain, Canada, the US, India, and Australia. I may have added one or I may have miscounted. My main strategy for marketing right now is actually posting and connecting in communities that have immigrants, like a big immigrant basis, and then also parents, because I found a lot of parents are actually looking for solutions like this. And my intention is to actually start a little slower, specifically so I can make sure I'm building the right set of features before blasting this out in a larger way. My plan for the future is to partner with some of those other businesses, whether they're legal firms who help in immigration situations, or actually the business integrations that we want to do, like I explained with Uber and Coinbase. And from there, we can actually start growing at a much faster rate.
So a couple of things you can look at. First of all, you're missing one key selling feature that I think is powerful. It isn't as obvious right now because of COVID-19, but if you travel a lot, you can lose your documents. Yeah. And so if you can keep them in a safe place that you can pull them down from anywhere off the cloud, that's a huge benefit. The other one is you might want to look at finding some of these companies that could use the services for their own purposes and help use them as solutions for your sales. So financial planners such as myself, we're always exchanging very sensitive documentation. Lawyers, they could become part of your sales force.
So yes, so the second part that you just mentioned, that was the businesses that I those are the kind of businesses I want to partner with. And I completely agree about travel. That's actually how this idea started. I did not call that out, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
I have a question if I can step forward.
Go
So
for
can
it.
you tell me how, in terms of building this product, how have you bootstrapped this in terms of, do you have partnerships with tech partners that are helping you in terms of the platform that you're using and the products that you're building it on, and what your ask would be today?
Yeah, so I'm actually a software engineer, which means I've managed to code the entire thing myself so far. In terms of partnerships and things like that, thank you. In terms of partnerships, I'm in the On Deck Fellowship and the Mozilla Builders Program, which has given me access to credits through platforms, for platforms like AWS or Amazon Web Services. So my current expenses are purely my time. And I'm sure those will increase in the near future. And then my ask at the moment is, I want to launch the share features, because as soon as I can launch the share features, I can actually start charging more for users to come on board. And my big blocker for that right now is purely time. Like, I don't have enough time to code those features out in a short amount of time. And so my ask is, for any of the money that I am able to raise, it's so that I can spend it on ideally contractors that I can eventually turn into full-time to build out these earlier features for me.
Excellent.
Thank
well,
you.
Congratulations, by the way, on building it, not just bootstrapping it yourself. That's really impressive.
Yeah, it's one of my jokes that I've been sharing with a lot of people is I actually built the MVP of this 6 years ago using a Google Sheet spreadsheet, and it's literally turning a spreadsheet into an app, and I just love the fact that that's what I'm doing right now.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to connect with you further in terms of a technology partner that I have in mind that I've referred to other women founders who are looking for some tech connection at a global level. And so we can connect later on LinkedIn, and I can share that resource with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Idas.
And in terms of the budget that you're looking for as far as a financial ask, do you have a ballpark gut feel for that? Or are you still developing that budget?
So if I'm looking at contractors, my goal is to build this out in Canada. I know I mentioned one of my countries is Kenya, but the other country is Canada. And I want to build this out as a technical team in Canada, and engineers are a lot more expensive there. So I'm currently looking to get at least 2 security engineers and 2 other developers on the team, which is a ballpark of like $400,000 over like a year. If I can get something like that, that would be amazing, because it speeds this up a lot. If I get something less than that, I will make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think all the questions that I had were asked by Cheryl and Idas. Probably the last, it's not really a question, but rather something that maybe you haven't, or maybe you have considered, is how to move this from just strictly like going to the customer's hands and they use it with like their lawyers and things like that, but also how to get partnerships with governments and sort of introduce your app to government so that they realize like, oh, when someone, for example, when you go to Service Canada and the person doesn't have it in their hand, that one specific document, because I've done that many times, and someone reaches into their pocket and pulls out the app and says, oh, but I have it on this app and I can send you the token, I think is what you mentioned, or I can send you the link to access it. So I think, like, I'm just thinking about the future. Have you thought about looking out for governments to say, hey, there's this great innovation that I've come up with and this is how I can help y'all?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to get this. Like, even if you're traveling through the airport, you don't actually need a physical passport anymore. You can just use this, especially with contactless everything in light of COVID. I think the reason I haven't explored this area too much is because one of the key reasons that major like governments and things like that will reject this in the current state that it's in is because you're uploading a photo, and that photo could be photoshopped like crazy. However, I am keeping in touch with a few different digital identity products, pathways, ideas, concepts that are being built right now as ways to make more countries transition to a digital identity, with the intention of, as soon as possible, I can actually embed those digital identities options into Taonga, and then I can create those and then effectively offer it to more legitimate sources. I would love to connect with governments. However, I think in light of I'm a solo founder and the only one on my team right now, there's only so much time I can spend in a day. I know I've got a lot of connections that can help me in the Kenyan government, but getting introductions to anyone in the Canadian government would also be extremely helpful, at least to understand what their issues are so I can start building to resolve those instead of doing it after the fact.
One of the things you can look at is once you've built your success, then it's easy to take it to the government. Exactly. And so a lot of the obstacles that arise today will have gone away by the time you would be ready to do that. Now I'm going to put a financial planning hat on, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that are key to your success in terms of protecting yourself. Okay. Have you incorporated?
I am actually in the process of doing that right now using a tool called founded.co.
Okay, so you're going to, I would like to see you do it in 3 ways, and this is highly recommended. You're going to have an operating company, which is the company that is going to actually run the business for you. But all of that code that you've written that is so precious and so powerful should be in a separate company. Okay, it's going to be another operating company. It's going to be protected, and you're going to lease it to your operating company so that it is completely protected. And if anything happens to your operating company, you still have your code.
Okay.
It's absolutely really essential that you do that because you're working on the international global market. There has to be a separation of those two so that nothing can happen to that code. And if you do sell your company, which you may choose to do in the future, there are 2 negotiations: the operating company and the company that holds all of the patents and all of the proprietary information and all the coding. And if the coding gets too complex and you keep adding to it, put it in different incorporations to protect it. And I would do that as quickly as possible before you go any further in your sales or any further negotiations in accessing funding or anything else. Those incorporations should be in place, particularly here in Canada. If you're going to open in Canada, if you need help, I'm here to help you. I do this on a regular basis. So I can sit down with you and show you the structure, and I can help you develop what's best for you and for your company. Because it's something that it's third person liability. There's a huge lot of things that we need to look at, and we want to cover as much protection as we can for you.
Yeah,
so
that would be amazing.
And I'm more than happy to sit down with you and walk you through that and make sure that you understand it appropriately, because you right now are at very high risk, and every red flag is waving in the air right now beside me, because I think, oh, she's got all this work, and it's your soul, your gut, your hard work. Let's protect it.
Amazing. Would you mind if I reached out to you via LinkedIn or some other platform? And
You're more than welcome to reach out to me. Dino still has all.
Yeah. So what I think I'll do is I'll share the information of all the judges and the presenters with every participant on this call.
Perfect. And I would be delighted to help you, because you've got something good. I've seen it. I've seen iterations of this many times now, because it's becoming more dominant because we're so isolated with it. And again, the risk factors are there, but it's something that needs to be scaled. And you're going to need a lot of advertising in the social media and blogging world, and you're going to need a professional.
I think we should switch to the next presenter now.
Sure.
But thank you very much for the feedback, Cheryl, Idis, and Nancy. This was obviously a very exciting presentation, so thank you guys for your feedback. And once all the presentations are done, just to kind of let all the judges know, we're going to have an opportunity to ask further questions of all the presenters. So if you have any more questions, just feel free to hold on to them. Right now, we're going to put the floor over to Ajoke. And just to go back a step here, this is going to be kind of tough just because she presented first, but we had some technical issues, so all the judges weren't able to give their full feedback. So I know it's tough seeing as she presented a while ago, but I would like to give the judges an opportunity to ask any questions of Ajoke that they have. And as well, anything further you feel like explaining Ajoke, feel free to jump in and go right ahead. So I'll hand the floor over to you, judges. Nancy, do you have any questions for Ajoke from?
No, that was it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm happy
Cheryl,
to represent.
Yeah, maybe we'll give you an opportunity to present right after all the presenters, just so everyone can have an opportunity to ask you their questions. So sorry for the issues, but thank you for accommodating. So Ajoke, we would reach back to you and kind of explain how this is going to go through. Sorry about that. So again, we're going to move on to the next presenter right now. And the next presenter is actually a set of two presenters. So we have Oshamini Mayaki and Alexandra Sproul. They're going to be speaking about their company, Adoba Media. We'll have an opportunity after this session to ask more questions. But we're going to hand the floor over now to Mimi Mayaki to share her screen and make the presentation. And also keep in mind when you're done and you're getting feedback, the both of you, Alex and me, feel free to turn your cameras on just for the feedback portion. But I'll hand it over now to you to make the presentation. And I will give you a heads up 1 minute before 5 minutes and at 5 minutes before. You can go ahead. We're not hearing any sound.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, that's great.
And we can see your screen as well.
Go up to slideshow.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, I'll just go ahead and start then. Adoba Media is filling in the blanks in the history of our world. My name is Oshamimi Mayaki, and I'm a founder at Adoba Media along with Alexandra Sproul. I was born and raised in Nigeria, and Alex grew up in a suburb of North York. As children in school, we heard stories that taught us about how the world worked, how it came to be, and how we could make it a better place. However, some of these stories were oversimplified. Things that defy common sense, like the idea that Mungo Park, a British national, had discovered the Niger River in West Africa, even though there were people living there from the beginning of time. Or the idea that Europe invented money and banks. But by the time Alex and I got to university, we started to ask more critical questions of ourselves. But most of the readily available content didn't challenge these notions. It didn't provide enough substance on which we could build a new foundation of knowledge. Alex and I are both researchers, so we're able to do this deep dive by ourselves, but not everyone has the time or knows how to go about this. So as an educated, engaged, and curious person, where do you go to find nuanced content on topics you care about? Increasingly, young, highly educated people are choosing podcasts. They are accessible and offer an in-depth investigation that is not as time-consuming as reading, but can be more detailed than your mainstream media or the news. The data shows that most podcast listeners are between the ages of 18 and 40 and have a college education or higher. And 74% of them say their main reason for listening is to learn something new. Today, there are 1.5 million podcasts available through the major channels. Podcast creators earned $479 million in total revenue in 2018, and this is projected to reach $812 million in 2020. Majority of this revenue goes to podcast-only production companies like Gimlet, media companies that create podcasts alongside other media like NPR, and large indies who are celebrities and that leverage their popularity to drive an audience for their podcasts. These people like Sam Harris or Joe Rogan. While they earn most of the revenue in the market, they produce a small proportion of the content, about 1% of the shows. 80% of the market are hobbyist creators whose shows have a median of about 124 downloads per episode. So they don't make a lot of money, but their shows are often discussion-based and have low production value compared to the three main players. Podcast-only production companies are able to leverage the network effects of having multiple shows and bundling ad sales, but they remain fairly lean and specialized enterprises compared to the media companies. So this is an exciting category for new entrants like us. In this category, there are a lot of companies telling mainly American stories. Companies like Wondery and Gimlet. There are a few companies telling African stories, even though it's an emerging market. Companies like Vision Africa and Sound Africa are forging a way for the South African market. In West Africa, there are limited options, and almost all shows are panel-based pop culture shows that may not appeal to a global audience. Adoba Media is filling a content gap in the market and in global media. We look for histories that have been repressed due to colonialism and stories that are overlooked in the Western media. Our first podcast, which will be released in November, is called Money No Gets Enemy. Money No Get Enemy is a podcast about the history of money in Africa. In this show, we tell stories about pre-colonial African economies and how they interacted with the rest of the world. Today, we think of the US dollar as the main currency used in international trade, but 400 years ago, it was the cowrie shell alongside gold. The cowrie shell is a small seashell from the Maldives. Money No Gets Enemy tells this story and many more that will absolutely change the way you think about the global economy and the roots of inequality in our world today. Our first offering is targeted at the global African diaspora as well as West Africa, with Nigeria being the fastest growing market. So far, we have interviewed all the major researchers writing about this topic. We've built a network of historians and archaeologists all around the world who we interview on our shows and lean on for advisory support. But this is just
1 minute left.
We have an exciting lineup of shows planned across multiple categories. Our goal is to build a portfolio of 20 active shows in 2 years. This is an ambitious roadmap that requires funding to build our audio and research capacity. We estimate that conservatively, we could be earning about $3,000 a month per show from ads, patrons, and paid content, as well as creating branded content, which could increase our revenue options. My personal mission is to contribute to creating an equitable and sustainable world. But what we build is informed by our understanding of the past and how we got here in the first place. We call our company Odoba Media after the elephant who never forgets. And we believe that by keeping these stories alive, we leave room for future possibilities that otherwise wouldn't exist. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much for the presentation, Mimi and Alex. We're going to give the judges an opportunity to ask some questions. And while we're doing this, just to give an update or heads up to the person that's going to be presenting next. So Stephen Ayeni, AfroCart, get ready. We're going to add you to the panels, and after the question time here is done, we would have your presentation go up. But I'll leave it up to the judges now. You can go right ahead.
Have you looked at offering your product not just from the perspective of free, but also on a subscription basis?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Have you looked at like selling it as, say, $10 a month for a whole year, and building an income or revenue stream that would allow you to go back and do more productions? If you keep the price low enough, people will put it on their credit card, forget it, and just keep paying. It's the old story of the workout situation in a gym. But those $10 from around the world could make a massive difference in your ability to continue to survive. And I would highly recommend that you give good consideration to it, rather than trying to find people who are going to sponsor you.
Of course, yes. One of the major revenue sources for podcast creators is Patreon. Patreon is a platform that allows podcast creators from any platform to reach out directly to their community of listeners and subscribers to set a monthly fee that they pay. It's kind of a pay what you can model. We think of it as that versus donations. And so we plan to create a Patreon account and offer some exclusive content for our subscribers on that channel.
Okay, so instead of doing it so that it's pay what you can, what you're doing has value. And when you put $1 on it, it creates more value. So it encourages people to participate simply because if they pay for it, it has more value than if you give it for free. So you can have what we call the lost leaders, which is the excerpts and the smaller presentations that will gather people's interest. But then you want to sell it as a subscription, and it should be done through your own website so that you control it. And then you can allow distance learning, and you can allow blogging. You can build a whole story that is going to create interest and attachment to what you're offering, and opportunities for people who are interested to discuss what you've shown through different blogs. So you can have peer-to-peer blogs. You may connect it to art. You may connect it to books. that have been written, famous books that you're doing the backstories on. One of my sons is doing this with some of the American history. He's read the book and now he's got the podcast and he's weighing the two. It's a model that exists.
Yes.
I think that you've got a lot of value, and I think that you need to put a dollar value on it now, and that's going to very, very quickly give you the funds you need to be able to take this to the next level. If you're interested, I have a company I work with that would help you with that. And they love to work with people like yourself who are entrepreneurs and don't have a lot of money, but have the potential for making a lot of money. So let's have a talk about it, because I really think that you have something tremendous to offer. And I think that it needs to have a dollar value attached to it and help you grow very quickly.
Thank you, Cheryl. I do appreciate that, and we'll definitely connect with you. And yes, we recognize that this content is kind of a gold mine. It's not in very many places, and we do intend to monetize it through various channels, YouTube, media, putting ourselves in media, as well as perhaps building courses in the future based on this content.
And that's where the money is. And that platform already exists in many places. So the distance learning aspect, you don't build your own, you can rent these somebody else's. So I really think that you're onto something. And I think you have it, particularly in this seeking of true knowledge. So congratulations.
Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate that.
Well, I don't really have a question, but I'll say what I have to say. So I'm a professor, and one of the things that we're starting to roll out is teaching about the history of Africa, and the history of Africa before slavery. And this is something that when you were talking, I was like, okay, this is a whole curriculum that I, as a professor, would love to engage with and use within my class to teach some of these concepts and teach the history before slavery. So one of the things that I think you need to look into is monetizing this at the institutional level, at the academic level, and not just in Canada, but also in Africa, because a lot of people don't know their own history, and specifically in the United States. And I know this to be true because, again, I teach in the US, and one of the hardest things is to find curriculum that's good enough to teach when it comes to African studies and things like that. So start looking at the institutional level and the academic levels. And maybe, I guess my question is, have you thought about that?
We have. We actually started a pilot with a teacher at a high school in the United States this summer. I went in and presented some of the content from one of our episodes for her class. And she'd mentioned that she would actually want to have this resource to help her teach the whole course throughout the semester, but we just haven't had the capacity to ramp up as quickly. We weren't able to ramp up as quickly for this fall semester, but hopefully for the winter semester, we can have content ready. And yeah, that's a really good point to start thinking at the get-go, how we can monetize this at the institutional level.
Yeah, and I have one more suggestion, just because I've seen other people do this, but pitch this to Netflix, because I think this is a whole show that you could definitely get funding, support from Netflix to go ahead and make this into, not only is it available through podcasts or through YouTube, but like it's exclusive content on Netflix. And maybe you can have like seasons with Netflix, but those are things that you need to look at for sure.
That would be a dream. For us, we would be very excited to make this. And we have so many other stories. Once you start digging, I don't understand how nobody talks about this. There are so many stories. And we're really excited to continue to do that research and tell these stories.
That's it for me.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
All right, thank you, judges. Any more questions from the judges?
Yes, I would love to add just a couple comments and questions. If we have just a minute, I'll be really quick.
Go ahead.
There are two really important people that I would love to see at least an internet shout out to. One is Arlen Hamilton, who is a woman venture capitalist in Los Angeles. And I think that she would be very keen to have a look at what you're doing. And also there's a very famous woman producer of not just movies as well as her own TV show, but I really also love that she got her start on YouTube and then experimented with that. And so I would love to also do a internet connection through Twitter as well, give a shout out to what you're doing, because I think that, like, you know, other people have seen, there's amazing potential for this, and nuanced content really is so vital. Oh, sorry, let me just give you my video here. That nuanced content is really so amazingly important, especially in this time where underrepresented voices are getting lost in the fray of so many new contributors of content. And so having a backer from a very strong internet presence, I think, could be very valuable to you. And so I would love to use my social media presence to give a shout out to whatever internet presences that you have, so that other people can, you know, support what you're working on and show maybe there's an opportunity to do partnership work with you.
Thank you so much. We will please let us know what the best way is to connect with you, and we can definitely put that together. This is amazing.
Sounds good. Yeah, LinkedIn would be preferable for me, and then we can do the internet connects over Twitter and Instagram and social otherwise.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right, so thank you for your feedback, judges. Cheryl, did you want to add something?
I just want to say, Dino, maybe you might not have heard, Dino will give you all our contact information
Yes.
at the end, because we all have different expertise and different levels. And I think all of us want to contribute to each one of the participants. What you've done, all of you today, is very exciting.
That's great to hear. At least it means we have some good presenters here. So thank you, Mimi and Alex. So again, I will share all the information of all the judges with the presenters so that we can follow up. Next, we're going to have Stephen Ayeni up. Actually, before we have Stephen Ayeni up, sorry, 1 second. Actually, we're going to have Stephen Ayeni up, not Abdullahi. And Stephen Ayeni is going to make a presentation on his business idea. It's called AfroCart. It's a very exciting product. I would like you guys to take an opportunity to listen to it. So just hold up a second. And again, remember the rules. I'll give you 5 minutes to present. 1 minute to the time, I'll give you a heads up. At 5 minutes, I'll call time. And then the judges will have an opportunity to present afterwards. So right after you go, Stephen, up next will be Abdullahi. Abdullahi is going to make a presentation, but in the meantime, Stephen, you can go right ahead. And you can share the screen whenever you want. Your mic is muted now, by the way.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I'm just going to try and share my screen here. I'm sure everyone can hear me now.
Yes, you can.
Can you see my screen?
It's a white background, if that's what you're sharing. Yes, you can see a white background.
Give me a second.
Okay, and if you're having any issues, remember we have a copy of it. Just let us know.
Yeah, I'll just try again. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, you see it.
Okay, perfect. So perfect. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I just want to say thank you to FOA for organizing this event. Thank you for the judges. Thank you for the viewers and other presenters. So I'm here to present on behalf of AfroCart, and my name is Steven. So a little bit of background on me. I came to Canada from Nigeria when I was 15. I came here by myself in 2012. I moved here to pursue better education. My family thought it was the best time. And I stayed in a small town called Port Hope, which is about a 1 hour, 20-minute drive from Toronto, about 2 to 3 hours by train. One of the first things that I noticed when I first came here was how much I missed Nigeria and how much I missed Nigerian food, especially my mom's cooking. Staying here by myself, it was difficult I always had to be with family, like family friends here. I used to get homesick, and food was kind of my remedy towards fixing that. So what I attempted to do was create Nigerian food by myself. But unfortunately, the closest African store to me was in Toronto. So I ended up having to commute for like 2 hours, get there, then pay ridiculous prices, then come back. It wasn't sustainable. So fundamentally, what the problem was is that I didn't have a car, so I couldn't drive to Toronto. Even if I was going to drive, it was going to be a 1 hour, 20-minute drive. I tried to convince my mom to ship Nigerian food from Nigeria to here. She didn't buy it. She didn't think it was a good investment of money. So what ended up happening was I had an empty cart. As I progressed and I went to university, I noticed that this wasn't only a program peculiar to me, it was peculiar to other Africans as I met more Nigerians and more Africans in university. So just some quick facts. So there's about 1.1 million people of African descent in Canada. 60% of that population is in Ontario. African Canadians make up about 3% of the total Canadian population, but estimated to be 5.6 by 2030. So what was our solution? I met one of my good classmates when I was taking a math class, and he was going through the same issue, and he was a computer science student, and he decided to create a website called Africar, which is, as of the time, it was just a store where you could buy African and Caribbean groceries. Within a week of creating it, even though he didn't have the products, he had about like $300 of worth of orders. He created it as like a side project just to work on his coding skills, but a business was born then. So fast forward, that was back in 2017. Fast forward to 2020, we've grown a lot and we've kind of pivoted. What Africa does now is strictly a platform that helps connect like our local African stores to the international African community. How we work. So ideally, a customer places an order, a vendor or an African store gets the notification, they package the order, and then we send a shipper to go to their store, pick it up, and ship it to wherever the customer stays. How we make money based off of this idea is that we make money in 3 ways. We charge a fee for every transaction that happens on our website, which the customer pays. The vendor pays a monthly fee as soon as they do over 1,000 monthly sales on our website. And then we also leverage the data and analytics that we collect on customer behavior and even vendor behavior. And then we leverage that to help our vendors do better on our website, and we sell that information to them. So since we started in 2017, we're doing about like under 1,000 in sales, under 5,000 in sales a year. This year alone, we've surpassed 15K. And it's been amazing so far. So kind of the current state of Africart. So as of right now, we pivoted to this new model back in the summer of this year. We have one African store in Ontario right now. We have 6 vendors. And the difference between an African store and a vendor is that an African store is just a regular African store, and a vendor is someone who sells maybe 1 or 2 products. We're in talks with 2 more African stores, and we have a whole lot more vendors coming on board. An ideal vendor will be like Sugar, the earlier presenters like Sugar or 116 Kitchen, who they're selling a handful of products and they could sell that on our website. And as of right now, we do about 1,200 in monthly sales. What's our strategy? So the next step for us right now is that before the end of this year, we want to have a lot more stores in Ontario, a lot more African stores in Ontario. And our goal at the beginning of next year is to strategically have an African store in every province. That way the cost is cheaper to our customers. We're also integrating local delivery because most of the products that are sold on our website are non-perishables. But with local delivery, we can sell meat, fish products from the African stores. And all the sales we've generated has been with a non-existent marketing team. So we're going to start hiring some marketers on our team so that we can push Africart out there. So the fall of 2020 to get more stores in GTA, of 2021 is to get a store in Quebec and Calgary, because that's the next biggest African hub in Canada. And then we eventually, in summer of 2021, want to get an African store in BC and then move into the US. The good news is that we actually already have a vendor in the US, and we've already started talking to stores in the US, and we've already started talking to stores in Calgary too. We're estimating that it should be live on our website, hopefully before the end of the year. So we're actually ahead of this timeline. And that's
so
it.
That is 5 minutes. Sorry, just to keep it fair, Stephen. Thank you for your presentation. So I'll open the floor up to the judges now to give some feedback. Thanks again for your presentation, Stephen.
My first question is, how do you deal with the government regulations in bringing food in from other countries, because we have standards that have to be set. The second one is, how do you deal with the labeling requirements that are required here for French and English? And go ahead.
So those are two excellent questions. Like, maybe I should have been more clear about this, but we don't sell the food on our website. We're just a platform where the customer meets the stores. We don't sell any of the food. So the African stores, they come on our website, they create their profile, they list their products, and they sell it. All we just do is handle the connections, the transfer of payments, and connecting them with the shipper. So in terms of the legalities of bringing products into the country or the legalities of labeling, we don't worry about that. The vendors have already handled that, and we just handle the technological infrastructure to connect them to the customers.
So when you say you want to store in the GTA, you want to store, are you talking about a physical bricks and mortar, or are you?
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking is, once you get to the bricks and mortar, you have to follow Canadian label laws, and you have to follow the standards set for importation of food stuff.
So when I say stores, these already exist in stores. When we get them, we just mean that they're going to sell on our platform. Similar to like an Amazon business model where you get a store who decides to list this product on our platform. We actually don't own the stores. We work with them to give them an online outreach for like their sales, or online outreach to potential new customers. I hope that's answering your question.
Okay, so you're talking about stores that exist in Canada that already sell African food, and you want them listed so that people outside of the major metropolitan areas can access the African foods in the smaller towns and cities of Canada.
Exactly, and we also open a new revenue channel for them as well. And this is like COVID, as terrible as COVID has been, this like has presented a need for them, because a lot more people are not going to stores anymore. But now the regular customers who could have gone to their stores can now come on our website and buy it, and it's shipped directly to them. So we actually help a lot of these mom and pop shops. This is a big reason why we pivoted earlier this year.
So you're leaving the labeling and the acceptance up to the individual stores in Africa or suppliers in Africa to get the right clearances coming into Canada.
Yes, so the African stores that we partner with, they've like some of them have been in business for more than 10 years, and they've already handled that. All we're just doing is just helping them sell online under their own name.
Again, the flags are flying in my face. You do have liability because you are doing it, representing it through your website. You need to get clearance from each one of them that they're following the rules and regulations, or you will be shut down. So you can't assume that everybody's taking care of it. You need to get some affidavits signed by them saying that they hit all of the standards set by Canada and the labeling and everything. Otherwise, you could be held co-liable if anything comes in that causes an illness.
Okay.
Okay,
totally understand. Yeah.
And you also need to get major third-person liability insurance to protect you and your partners.
Yeah, so like just going on that note, that's a part of like due diligence is really important to us. That's why we have 6 approved vendors and we have 6 who are pending. So we do our background research. We usually request that they show some sort of business registration and like they show their latest inspection by the Food Service Organization for Canada. Those are usually the 2 requirements, but I'm happy you brought that up, and I'll relay that to my team, and we'll look more into what are the due diligence we could add when we're vetting the stores.
But you also have to have it in writing.
Yeah, we have everything in writing. Yeah.
They have to sign off on it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm very cautionary on this because I see what happens when that doesn't happen. I work in the world, okay, of international and importing and exporting, and you need to have everything done appropriately with the proper paperwork, because if somebody gets sick, they're going to sue everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't want that headache for yourself. You want to make sure you're well covered and you have proper insurance, and you need errors and omissions insurance as well.
Okay.
Okay, to cover yourself, and you need to have legal documents in place.
Yeah, I think I'll be talking to you after this.
I think you will be. I really, when the red flags start flying, I sort of, I know I can be pretty tough on this, but I'm tough because I want you to succeed.
Definitely.
And these are the things that I see going wrong all the time. And it concerns me because you've got a great idea and a great opportunity. Dina's going to laugh at me. You're putting the cart before the horse. We need to get these things in place to protect you, because I think you've got a wonderful opportunity to build tremendous success.
Thank you. I'll definitely be connecting with you after the show.
I would love to.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.
Okay, so thank you very much for the feedback, Cheryl. Are there any further questions?
I think Cheryl asked all the questions that I was going to ask. I got it. It's the Amazon of African food, which is great. By the way, I just wanted to say, I actually knew about AfroCart for last year, because it's one of the businesses that I introduced to my students who go through my program. I'm like, look at this. This is a great example of what you can do with very little time. But yeah, so it's great to finally meet one of the founders of the company.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, definitely. You guys are doing a great job. I definitely listen to Cheryl in terms of making sure that you cover yourself, because if we were in the US, I wouldn't be that worried, but we're in Canada. There's a whole different ballpark here. You have to be on top of your regulations, because Canada does not play about anything like that. So definitely reach out to Cheryl about all of that. That's it for me.
Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to quickly ask, given that you're out of the GTA area, do you have some, or would you be looking for some introductions to, say, for instance, the Black Chamber of Commerce, which is situated here in Toronto, or other incredible leadership in the Black commerce space? Are you connected to people in the Toronto area? Would you like introductions? Would that be helpful to you?
Sure, anything helps. Like the position I'm in, anything helps. I'm always willing to listen to people who definitely have more knowledge than I am. So yeah, I appreciate that connection as well.
Okay.
All right, so thank you very much for that presentation, Stephen, as well as your feedback, judges. So we're going to move forward with the program now. We have one more presenter, and then after he goes, just because we understand that the first presentation, there were a lot of technical issues, we're going to give the presenter another chance to go, after which the judges will then get to ask their questions. But we're going to go with Abdullah first. He's going to present. The judges will give their feedback, and we'll move to Ajay. So Abdullah, whenever you're ready, share your screen, and also keep in mind the feedback session. Feel free to put your microphone on, your camera on. Sorry. And Stephen, thank you for participating.
Hello.
You can hear you.
Hello. Good afternoon, good day. Give me just one moment. Hello. Can you hear me? Okay, but I cannot hear you.
I will unmute
sorry, I was muted. Sorry about that again.
Okay, let me share my screen. Hello.
You can go ahead, man.
Okay. First of all, thank you for FOA and Dino for having me on this session. So my name is Abdul. I am the founder of Iconoclast. Iconoclast is a creative agency and label services aimed at providing and distributing local talent based out of Toronto. The goal is to produce and showcase local talent distributed globally through mediums of music and film. We provide a network of resources and hold on a second. We provide a network of resources and that a label would do, and publish business intelligence that a marketing company would do just so that we can basically help artists navigate better in the world that is today, which is pretty much a pandemic. My team is composed of 3 people that I've known for over a span of 10 years almost. Anelia Victor, she is a marketer and founder of OG Smith, which is a clothing company that she ran for about 4 or 5 years. Stuart Brignall is a living musician in Toronto, full-time musician. He is a sax player, flute player, producer. He has been performing in all the venues that you can think of throughout Toronto. And they will be looking after each key aspect of the business. So marketing for Anelia, Stuart will be looking after the musical direction, and I will be in charge of pretty much publishing and jointly a little bit of marketing as well. So our approach is structured into 3 branches. So the first thing we want to focus on, one of the things we want to focus on is music promotion, music production, and services of publishing. In terms of music, so our approach is based on establishing, kind of like building a business around the artist. We all know what music is about. We all know that people have talent. It's all about being able to build that structure around that music, film, or whatever that independent artists do that makes it move to the next level. So we would look after rights management, amongst other things, brand partnerships, streaming strategies for artists in terms of marketing. In terms of music production, we would basically be able to provide mixing services, beat making. One-on-one would be in a set studio without having to worry about cost or effectiveness of it, and provide also footage of videos and photos of everything. Business-wise, we will be also looking after making sure that they're registered with the proper rights organization, make sure that they understand their rights, and educate them on what it is that they should be looking for in terms of contracts and negotiations. How do we pay for it? The key thing is to monetize services that we do at just as well as those 3 branches, and make sure that the people that do it get compensated for their time. One of the models, for example, would be $200 ad budget. We would get a $50 commission, and that $150 would be used to generate data from marketing of any artist's content, film or music. And then afterwards, we would basically move it to a scale of 500 to 2,500, where we take a 30% commission. And then anything over 2,500 ad budget, the rates would be negotiable. Same thing applied to graphic design. We can do wholesale pricing. We could do one unique offer, it all depends on what the artist needs. So it would be an a la carte pricing, but the marketing side of music would be more volume based. We would need a lot of clients to keep that up. For the music, though, it's more long-term. We would basically take a piece of equity or share a piece of equity, whether in the publishing or in the master. Mixing and mastering costs are always usually what messes up independent artists. So we want to be able to, if not put up the money for it, and then we would basically, and we have a formula that works, we feel, to basically make the artist buy back his masters at a reasonable price.
Just a heads up, 1 more minute.
Okay. And then what we do to align our interests with the artist is to make sure that we have rights of first refusal on publishing rights, meaning that you will go to market with us, or well, we wouldn't be moving forward. We want to work with artists that have basically demonstrated music for over the past 5 years, but we have metrics that we want to reach. So therefore, we want artists that have a certain profile and show a certain level of commitment. Right now, the media world is going towards independent media, and that's just where it's going. Because big companies are not going to invest money into a world where people are not spending money outside. That being said, media companies have taken over what you can see, the stock markets and generally what people consume, since everybody's inside. So we aim to capitalize on that, and we feel that we can move it to a global market with smooth and efficient contract. Thank you, and have a good day.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Abdullahi. So we're going to give the judges a chance to give some feedback. And again, I just want to let Ajoket know to be on standby. And you're going to go up right after the judges give their feedback. So okay. Judges, you can go ahead.
Okay, I understand your world. Do you manage live performances?
We would. Mhm. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So yes, ideally we have connections with people that own venues and run events. What it is right now is that we're focusing more on the media distribution side of things because simply there's nothing going on outside. In terms of independent media, we are also building our own section of content through docu-series. And we just finished shooting last weekend, so we're going into post-production next week.
Okay, so conceptually what you're trying to do is get the artist on their playlists on the radio?
Yes, so would it be playlists, would it be radio? What we would do is we would establish a strategy for it, see what kind of resources they have, what kind of resources we have, and kind of establish a game plan for it.
Okay, so you're building their reputation, getting them on the playlist, getting on the heavy listing rather than these soft listings.
Exactly.
Okay, and the videos and that, are you using YouTube, or are you getting them on MTV, or what are you doing with the?
We're getting them on YouTube. We want to get them on any kind of independent media platform that we can get. We also want to do media pitching, so pitching to CP24s, Much Music, you name it. So in order for that, people that look for that kind of music need an artist with a certain fronts. Exactly.
Yeah, a certain sound, depending on what they're selling, or so you're looking more at using it as background music for shows and whatever that.
Exactly. So placements and syncs. What it is with placements and syncs, that they're more looking into the paperwork around it, making sure that everything is properly licensed, the splits and everything are straight. So once you get those kind of structure in place, they trust you more to do business with you and actually take in your music.
So you get them listed with SOCAN?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we would do SOCAN, resound, and everything that's necessary, depending on whether you would be a songwriter or a composer.
Okay. And so you really are repping you're the manager. You're repping these artists in different medias and different ways of building their recognition and their success.
Yes. Well, we're pretty much consider it a built-in management team. So how
do you have certain standards and expectations that you set for the artists so that they can start to measure what you're doing for them? And is it an increase in income, increase in downloads of their songs? How are you measuring so they can measure success of what you're doing?
Exactly. So that's where the marketing comes in critical, because the key thing is, once you do whatever you want to put out, you want to get traction out of it. And you want to measure that traction against what you're doing over time. That's why we kind of have these bundles where we're saying, okay, let's put in 200, see what comes back. Let's do another one, see what comes back. And then if you're happy with it, I'm happy with it. And then we can kind of see how we can work long term. But the key thing is not to bankroll the artists. We want to make it so that you want to make it so that it's affordable to say that 125, $100 a week, $200 a week, whatever works for you. $500 is $100 a week, pretty much. So
I understand that world. I have a son who's a professional bass player. So
there you go.
Not that he's doing it. He's got two small boys, so that's.
He's professional.
So. How to play. It doesn't pay the bills, but that's good. So you're really, because the music world has changed so dramatically. You can't sell discs or anything now. It's paying for downloads. That's where they make their money, is on downloads. And live shows.
Funny enough, though, this quarter, vinyl has just overtaken CDs in terms of sales for the first time in over like 20 years.
More than that.
Yeah, more than that.
It's more than that, and it's because the sound is better.
Exactly. So the key thing, consumer now is not really about. It's really about the experience, how you experience music. So if you come up with creative ways to do that. And we feel like there's people in Toronto or all over that have that ability. They just need that platform to do it. So we want to be able to to basically bridge the two.
Yeah, because a lot of the live venues have closed over the last 10 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Elbow Combat just opened up again, I believe.
It did. It just did, actually.
Yeah. Okay,
thank you. Questions, Cheryl. Your expertise in music is definitely clear. I'm going to open it up now to Idas and Nancy. If you guys have any questions for Abdullah.
I'll jump in if I can. I have no background in music whatsoever. However, I do know two really wicked entrepreneurs that are in the music space that I would really like to bring to, to your attention. The first one is Inkster.com. So Inkster.com is a platform for all kinds of artists. And I think that connecting you to that community could be wickedly powerful because they're going to be recording artists that are part of that art set. And then the other startup founder I'm really interested in connecting you to is a company called artery.is. Artery.is, I believe, is their URL.
How do you spell?
artery.is. And so what they do is pop-up performances. And so
Artery.
Yeah, Artery.
Yeah.
So
no, I went to their show. Yes.
Salima, she's amazing.
Okay.
And
Salima.
so plugging into the socials also for both of those communities, I think could just bring an incredible pipeline of people to what you're doing. And talking to those founders as well in terms of their network and seeing who they could introduce you to in the industry, I think would be just like a super connector experience.
Okay, yeah. Great.
All right. I'm happy to make an introduction to both of those founders if you'd like.
If it will be great, I would like to connect with you afterwards. And
sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks, Ida.
Cool. Thanks.
Nancy?
I would like to say I am not that smart in music. I'm just really fascinated by the idea and I love it. And, I wish you all the best. So those are my
comments. Thank you. I'd love to talk to you about it if you have any questions. No, anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you for that presentation again, Abdullahi, and thank you as well for your feedback, judges. This has been a great event so far. I hope everyone's enjoying all the presenters. So again, like we said, for the first presentation, we had kind of an issue. So we want to give that presenter a chance to make her presentation one more time, just so at least the judges have a chance to give that feedback after listening to the presentation. So Ajoke, just before we go, if you can unmute your mic, would you want us to play the pre-recorded video you have, or would you prefer to present it?
You can just play the video if you'd like.
Okay, so we're going to play the video, and judges, we're going to play her video, and right after, she's going to be on the floor to take any questions. So I'm going to open it up now. Let the media play.
Hi everyone, my name is Ajoke Olorundare and I'm the founder of Sugar Wax Inc., which is a company that makes and sells sugar waxing products for home use. So just a brief background on sugaring and the industry that we operate in. Sugaring is an ancient hair removal technique that uses a sugar-based paste in order to remove unwanted hair using a strip-free, hands-only technique. Traditionally, this product is made with a mixture of sugar, water, and lemon juice, which gives it its traditional golden color. There are many benefits to sugaring over other hair removal methods. Firstly, being that this product is 100% natural, biodegradable, it is water soluble, so it's safe for the environment. Sugaring is also typically less painful than waxing. It is also safer than waxing because it's used at body temperature, so there's no risk of burns or ripped or scalded skin that can sometimes happen with waxing. Additionally, the results of sugaring last significantly longer than other hair removal methods such as shaving. So what exactly is the problem that our company is solving? First of all, consumers want the option to administer sugaring services at home. Similar to waxing and laser hair removal, there are salon options for these services, and there are also at-home options to administer these hair removal methods at home. So the availability and the accessibility of sugaring products is typically only designed for professionals, and it's not easily accessible to consumers. If consumers decide that they want to make sugar wax at home, it's typically difficult for them to get the right consistency of the product. And even if you manage to make the sugar wax correctly, there is not a lot of content available that teaches consumers how to sugar themselves correctly at home. So our solution was to create a company and a brand that provides the products, supplies, and training needed in order to sugar wax at home successfully. We have been able to validate the need and the desire for our products in the market by launching this past month on September 7th. And to date, we have managed to gross about $1,200 in sales via Amazon Canada, as well as our Shopify store. So our company operates in a large global marketplace that is set to reach $18.8 billion by 2026. Our top 3 competitors in Canada are Nair, Parissa, and Veet. And as you can see by the image on the top left corner, these 3 brands gross multi-million dollars in sales annually. So as mentioned, our product is offering strip-free sugaring paste, accessories, and training designed to support our customers with sugar waxing themselves successfully at home. We have created a proprietary formula of sugar wax that is not only functional, but it is also distinguished from our competitors using natural colorants in order to create a unique product image. And we've also created a brand that we feel resonates more with consumers, and that is evidenced by our increasing sales on our 2 sales channels. So at the moment, our team is myself, the founder. I have a Bachelor of Arts in International Development Studies from the University of Winnipeg. I'm also a project management professional, and I have over 10 years of making and using sugar waxing products. Some of our goals in the next 1 year include increasing our production capacity, launching additional products, as well as a phased launches in several new marketplaces, beginning with the United States. The primary challenges that we are facing in our business right now are lack of sufficient capital to invest in scaling our production and launching new products, as well as lack of support and guidance to ensure that as we're growing, we are growing strategically and efficiently. So our ask is $100,000 of investment that will be used to increase our production capacity and quality control by moving to a commercial production facility, launch our basic sugaring kit, which is our next product, as well as increasing customer acquisition via influencer partnerships and other paid ads. So in conclusion, hair removal is a growing market, and there is a gap in the marketplace for at-home hair removal segment, specifically for sugaring products. And our brand, Sugar, is positioned to fill this market gap by providing consumers with the products, accessories, and training to sugar wax successfully in the comfort of their homes. Thank you very much for your time, and you can reach us via email as well as on our website, sugarwax.com. I welcome any questions or comments. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much for your presentation, Ajoke. And sorry for the issues first time, but judges, the floor is yours. You can go right ahead. And also, actually, sorry, you can go right ahead.
Okay. I have a lot of questions now that I've seen it over again.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say that I am one of those consumers that does use waxing products, and I've tried a sugaring competitive product before. Mm-hmm. And the problem that I had was that it was just way too messy. It was getting everywhere, whereas wax is like traditional wax is more, because it's less water soluble, it doesn't get all over the place as much. But because sugaring is water soluble, it tends to like get everywhere. It tends to get stickier. It tends to get harder to remove it, because with the traditional wax, I can just put paper over it and on any surface, it usually just lifts it off, or oil lifts it off. But having said that, I am interested in, you mentioned that you have education with so like if I buy it, then I get an education about how to use it. Is that included in the packaging, or is that a video? Like, what does that look like?
We're working on multiple options, so there will be an instructional pamphlet included, and then we are working on professional training videos as well that will be available on our website. You'll have to create an account after you purchase the product to access the videos, but they are specifically designed to understand the sugar wax as a product, as well as how to use and handle the product. Because you're right, sugar is a different product than wax. It has different properties and it reacts differently to the environment. So if you want to sugar successfully, you do have to understand these things and understand how to manipulate the product successfully.
And then my second question is, because as I said, I'm an avid user of waxing products. There are types of hairs that are easier to get with just a tiny bit of wax. And then there are other types of hair. I think you know about this because you have a sugaring product, but does the product that you have address that issue of like, okay, if you have hard to take out hair, is there like a different sugaring product for that? Is there a lighter version? Like, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, so our plan is to launch 3 to 4 different consistencies of sugar wax. Although we want to be a brand, like a leader in the market for strip-free sugaring products, I do know that for, let's say, finer hair or vellus hair, like hair on your face or something, that hair is typically removed easier with strip waxing. So that will be one of our later product additions, but typically, yes, you will need different consistencies of sugar wax to remove different kinds of hair. The product that we have on the market right now, like our universal paste, it can be heated or cooled to sort of get it to work for all different types of hair textures. But ideally, you would want to be using different consistencies of wax for different types of hair.
Okay, and then my last question has to do with your marketing. So you mentioned that you made $1,200 in sales from September the 7th. So in roughly 1 month, you made $1,200 in sales. I just wanted to know, how much marketing did you do and where did you do your marketing?
We only did 5 days of a pay-per-click campaign on Amazon just to help rank the product. But actually, I noticed that we didn't get that many sales from the campaign that we did. It was an automatic targeting one. So we shut it off after a week. And then all of the sales that we got after that were organic sales from people searching for the product on Amazon.
From organic sales?
Correct, yeah. Mostly from our Amazon store, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Yeah.
Just a note on advertising. It takes 3 to 4 months to build your story to the point where people are actually you're going to be able to measure your success. Yeah. And during that time, you need to fine tune it to find out what works and what doesn't work. It doesn't happen overnight. Everybody has this idea that if you put it up there, people are going to see it, they're going to buy it. Yeah. That is the way it works. So when you're trying to build if you want to get beyond your friends and family and become a business, your marketing component has to be done by professionals. It is not possible for you as the owner, in most cases, to write the algorithms and actually do it. You need to hire professionals to make it successful. And this is a global product. And having it on Amazon is kudos to you, but it's not going to drive the sales. People go to Amazon when they hear about it somewhere else. So it's that's a convenience, but having your own website and making the sales through your own website with the information and the tutorials and everything all in one place is where your success is going to be. But it doesn't happen overnight. So building that brand story and building the recognition is going to take 3 to 4 months before you start to see proper response, and that costs money.
You're absolutely
why your funding has to come for the marketing.
Yes, exactly. You've basically laid out exactly what we're trying to do right now. Perfect. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd love to jump in just to ask a couple of questions. Okay. Can you tell me, do you have a sense yet of who your average customer persona is, how old they are, what sort of socioeconomic status they are, and how you would best reach them in terms of their demographics?
Unfortunately, because most of the sales that we've gotten came from Amazon and they're very protective of their customer data, I don't have the best sense of that information. I have a guess because I did have a few customers reach out to us, and I have customers' names, so I can sometimes, internet creep them. So I do have a sense of our customers most likely are people who already are aware of sugaring. Either they were sugared professionally and they want to do it at home. And in terms of their age range, my guess is like late 20s to mid 30s, and all women.
Okay. All right. And another question I had was, have you thought about health food store placements right now? Because a lot of people are using their local health food stores to pick up their beauty products if they're really looking for something that's eco-oriented. And it sounds to me like you're using natural coloring, you're using the healthiest version of the sugaring product in formulation. Have you approached some health food stores of carrying maybe a small display just to start to put feelers out to see who, if you have a brick and mortar presence as well?
At the moment, no, only because we haven't resolved our production capacity issues. I produced the first 100 units that we made in my kitchen. So I just found a commercial kitchen that I can use, but I'm also thinking about sourcing a co-packer or a contract manufacturer just to manage the scale, because I know that the product does have the potential to be in those types of stores, but I don't think it would make sense to reach out to them if we can't fulfill the orders.
Okay. I'm just going to red flags flying again. You need a co-packer. You shouldn't be doing this yourself when you're selling online.
Yeah.
You don't have the right credentials to do so. You could get yourself in a lot of trouble with Health Canada.
Yeah.
And I don't know what level you hit. You're probably, it's an external product. It's a food base, but
it's topical. Yeah.
It could be level 1
because
it is removing hair. So you need to check what the standards are through Health Canada.
Yes, I did do that, but I am aware that there are a lot of risks. We are insured, but I want to move to a commercial production facility as quickly as possible to mitigate those issues.
Good.
All right. Sorry, Cheryl, do you have any further questions?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, so thank you very much for your feedback, judges. Thank you for all the presenters who presented. So just to go over all the names again, we have Ajoke Dare, who was presenting on sugar. Sorry if she was presenting sugar. Second, we had Wamaka Onyenokwe, who's presenting 116 Kitchen. Third, we had Ashni Shah, who was presenting on Taonga Technology. Then we had Mimi Mayaki as well as Alexandra Spruill, who presented on Adobe Media. Then we had Stephen Ayeni, who presented on AfroCart. And then we had Abdullah Tandia, who presented on Iconoclast. And then we had Ajoke again, which was fun. So thank you guys for spending so much time and presenting. Thank you, judges, for your feedback. I'm now going to hand it over to Justine Lamar, who would spearhead heading into the next session.
Thank you, Dino. Wow, amazing pitches, great innovative ideas, and great insights from the judges. I trust you are all impressed by the presentations made. I was. I would like to invite the judges, Dr. Nancy Adosi, Idis Levato, Shariel Bennett, to move to the breakout room to deliberate amongst themselves to present a winner to us using the criteria. The judging will be led by Dr. Nancy Adosi, and the criteria will focus on the main areas, including the structure of the pitch, the visibility in the market, the persuasiveness of the pitch, the strength of the value proposition, and the overall impression, taking into account the graphics that have been presented. We would also like to encourage everybody who has tuned in to share the Casa Foundation links more widely on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get all the engagement out there. Let's get exposure for our pitch contestants. The ideas are amazing, so it's worth it. We look forward to hearing the judges' perspectives. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now moving to the fireside chat session of our program. This is all what we've been waiting for, and I hope you're all having a great time. Please join me in welcoming our guest of honor, Her Excellency Olabisi Adeleye Fayemi, First Lady, Ekiti State, Nigeria. She is the co-founder of the African Women Development Fund, the first Pan-African grant-making organization. She serves as Nigeria's senior advisor for UN Women and was appointed as a visiting senior research fellow at King's College, London, in the United Kingdom. She is also the CEO of Above Whispers Limited and runs an online community called abovewhispers.com. So you should definitely check that out. As you may know, this Sunday marks the International Day of the Girl Child in 2020, and we're celebrating it here at Friends of Africa Economic Summit. I am honored to invite Her Excellency Olabisi Adeleye Fayemi to share some remarks about the International Girls' Day and give us some tips about being girl bosses. You know, this is the year of women economic empowerment. So really some crucial tips about being girl bosses. She will be interviewed by Professor Wendy Sukie, Professor of Entrepreneurship and Strategy and the Academic Director at Diversity Institute and Ryerson University. Please join me to welcome Her Excellency Olabisi Adeleye Fayemi and Professor Wendy Sukie for an engaging fireside chat discussion. Over to you, ladies.
Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I have been lurking in the background watching the pitches, very impressed, not just with the ideas and the concepts, but also the delivery. I'm sure the judges are going to have a really hard time. And Your Excellency, it's such a pleasure to meet you, knowing about your incredible work, and actually the fact that in some respects, Nigeria is doing better than Canada in terms of promoting women's entrepreneurship. So I wanted to talk a little bit to you about your views on what needs to happen in order to bridge the gender gap. We see report after report from the United Nations and other international organizations that tell us that investing in women is one of the best ways to drive economic growth and innovation. And yet we see that those gaps persist. So can you talk a little bit to us about what institutional and societal changes you think should be priorities in order to promote the empowerment of women and girls?
Thank you very much, Professor Wendy. It's really a delight to be here. I too enjoyed the presentations. I was listening in and they were absolutely fascinating. And it's so affirming to hear young women leading their world and being bosses. It's really great. Now, to your question, Prof, the year 2020 is the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Conference. I attended the Beijing Conference in 1995 as a young woman. I wasn't a girl, but I was young and I was full of all these dreams and aspirations of what I wanted my world to be 20, 25 years down the line. So you can imagine my dismay in the year 2020, when it seems as if a lot of the gains that have been made over the years, and there have been some, are being eroded. They're being eroded due to a lack of political will, violent conflicts, discrimination against women due to culture, tradition, and religion, and of course, economic marginalization and exclusion as well. And so I believe a good place to start if we want to start looking into how we can close this gap, because it keeps growing because of all these reasons I've given and many more. I think having legal and policy frameworks in place and institutional processes to back them up is a good place to start. We need to be able to guarantee that women and girls will have access to basic resources or things such as an education, training, credit should they need it, and so on. It's also important for us to be able
excuse me, Your Excellency, your microphone, I think, is muted. There.
Where did you lose me?
About 20 seconds ago. You spoke about the importance of access to education, to training, to credit if they need it, and then you cut out.
Yes, okay. Right now, when we were preparing for the Beijing conference in 1995, there were actually 11 critical areas of concern before a 12th area was added. And the 12th critical area of concern was the girl child. And that came from African women rights activists and feminists who were concerned that if measures were not put in place, the girl child in Africa would not be able to fulfill her full potential. And so we started making the case for girls to be able to go to school. And 25 years down the line, it's good to note that we have been able to make that case successfully. Girls are going to school. And in Nigeria, where I live, in the southern part of Nigeria, the enrollment of girls in schools outnumbers that of boys. But we are facing an issue of keeping girls in school. So it's one thing for the girls to go to school. It's another thing for them to be able to stay in school. There's a lot of violence against girls. There's a lot of sexual exploitation. When girls are from poor families, when they return home, instead of being able to do their homework, they have to go out hawking food items or helping out mothers or grandmothers in the marketplace. So there are all these barriers that prevent girls from staying in school and achieving a quality education. So we need to do things to ensure that we can keep them in school and they can live lives that are free of fear, harm, and discrimination. It's also important for us to encourage parents, wherever they are in the world, to raise their daughters with a healthy dose of self-esteem and confidence. We live in a world where a lot of young people take their cues from what goes on social media. It's as if something doesn't get onto social media and everyone knows about it and they can be the coolest girl in class and so on, then their lives are going to be absolutely miserable. And as parents, we watch in horror how our girls are fading before our very eyes because they want to live up to all these expectations. So it's important for parents to instill healthy doses of self-esteem in their daughters and let them know you are okay as you are. You are beautiful, you are wonderful, and you have the world at your feet.
Thanks so much. I wonder if you can talk about the value of having alternative structures targeting girls and women as opposed to trying to mainstream gender inclusion in existing structures. Can you talk a little bit about what you've observed, what works, best practices?
Thank you. Well, what I've observed is that on the look of things, it looks as if gender mainstreaming is a good idea because then you can make the argument that the issue gets due attention, that it will attract the required resources, whether it's technical, material, human, or financial resources that are needed to drive whatever issue we are trying to address through this mainstreaming exercise. But my experience of gender mainstreaming is that things get washed away in the stream. And so whilst I would encourage us to continue trying to mainstream issues around women and girls, alternative strategies or processes are also important. It's important to have spaces where girls can learn, as I said earlier, to be confident, to listen to role models, for intergenerational or multi-generational exchanges to take place, so that young girls can see that women have accomplished things and women can take on the world in any way they can. It's also important to have safe spaces where young women in particular can deal with issues which, if not dealt with, could drive them into making poor choices, such as substance abuse, being in bad relationships, and so many other things. So I'm a big fan of alternative processes and institutions. And to just give you an example, I was part of running an African Women's Leadership Institute I started with some other African women. It was in 1996. And over the years, this Leadership Institute, which was based in Kampala, Uganda, but operated throughout the continent, has managed to train over 6,000 young women. And now those young women are not young anymore. They are leaders in different parts of the continent. That experiment really worked. And there are so many other initiatives like that. So I'd like to encourage us to create spaces where young girls and women can, receive advice, information, mentoring, and support.
This is not a question that was identified in advance, but just following up on that, I'm part of a group that's trying to get Canada to set up a Canadian UN Women's Committee. We're one of the few G7 countries that doesn't have a firm commitment to UN women in Canada. And, part of the reason for having such a committee is they raise funds. Some of the funds are invested in Canada, but 75% are invested in other parts of the world. And I wanted to give you an opportunity just to comment on the ways in which you think these kind of international bodies, institutions, mechanisms, and so on can support work that is being done in places like Nigeria. Do you have a view on the role of these international bodies and whether they're useful or not?
Thank you very much, Prof. I believe they are very useful. They are useful because they can make the case for having policies, laws, and institutions in place to drive some of the conversations that we are having. Because if we don't have legal and policy frameworks, it's very difficult for the issues to be sustainable. They are useful in terms of providing support for the local women's movements, because the local women's movements, the local feminist organizations are the ones who have been at the front lines of ensuring that these issues get due attention. And when it comes to issues of keeping girls safe, for example, and addressing issues around sexual and gender-based violence in its broader context, it's important to have voices from all over that can ensure that there's political will to address these issues and the required resources to ensure that things get done. And I believe another area where it's useful to have support and voices from bodies like the one you've mentioned is ensuring that women have a voice at the table. It's important that we get more women into decision-making, more women into leadership. It could be in political leadership, leadership in public life generally, or in the corporate sector. But we need more women in positions of leadership and responsibility, because that is when we'll be able to see sustainable change.
I think that, thank you very much for that. And I would say that from my perspective, one of the real advantages is that we've learned a lot from approaches to supporting women, particularly women entrepreneurs in places like Nigeria. I mean, I think that last I looked, Nigeria is something like 40% of entrepreneurs in Nigeria are women. It has one of the highest rates of women in business and women in entrepreneurship, I think, anywhere in the world. And the culture that helps drive that understanding that business and entrepreneurship and so on is an important pathway, I think, is really critical. And then there are other sorts of measures like microfinancing and some of the work that's been done that shows that even small amounts of money and investments in women-led businesses in particular can produce really significant results. And we have lots of research on that outside of Canada, but we're trying to bring some of those practices into the country to help with some of the micro businesses at the very, very early stages. And then I think, the final thing from my point of view is we have massive opportunities to better leverage the diaspora and the relationships that exist between Nigerians in Nigeria and Canadian Nigerians and people who are going back and forth to really build international trade relationships, because we all know that Africa is one of the fastest growing, Africa as a whole and Nigeria in particular have real opportunities for economic growth and trade relationships. So I'm really glad to hear that you're an ally in the efforts to push these international mechanisms, because my observation is in the time of COVID, there's a real risk that countries like Canada will look inward and withdraw from engagement on the international stage. And I think it's exactly the wrong time for us to become insular and focus entirely on domestic issues. I think now is the time to really be looking at globally and how to strengthen the partnerships. And that's why I think that initiatives like Friends of Africa is so important in kind of opening people's eyes to those opportunities. So the last question that I was asked to pose to you is the question about the term girl bosses, and what your views on that are.
Right. I smiled when I got the question. It reminds me of the debates we used to have. The debate still continues, but I've moved on from having to argue about it. When we used to talk about feminism, the F word, and people would say, you know, why do you want to use the word feminism? It puts people off. It makes men scared. It makes men feel that women are angry. You're not going to get what you want if you use that word. And what I've learned is, it really doesn't matter what we call ourselves. And if young women of today want to be known as girl bosses, so be it. Now, who is a girl boss? A girl boss is empowered. A girl boss means business. She is confident. She is self-assured. She has an education. She's knowledgeable. She knows where she's going. Now, that's scary to anyone who has a vested interest in sustaining patriarchal norms and values. And so I want to encourage our girls and young women out there to go out and be the baddest girl bosses they can be. They should own their world. And what we would hope to get at the end of the day is a world in which we can live in peace and harmony, everyone, but knowing that the dignity and rights of women and girls are non-negotiable. You are muted.
Oh, there we go. You know, I'm reminded of the words of a very famous North American entrepreneur named Beyonce, who says, "I'm not bossy, I'm the boss." And I do think I agree with you. I actually think that we need, you know, nobody calls men bossy. They only call women bossy.
Yeah.
Implication
exactly.
That we're not allowed to be bosses. And when we assert ourselves, it's something bad. No one has ever called a man bossy. And I agree with you, actually. I think we should reappropriate that word and be proud that we are the bosses. So with that, I'd hand it back to our judges, because I think that we have some exciting news. But thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your insights. Really, really encouraging and inspirational. And I hope we have a chance to continue to work together. Thank you.
Thank you too. It's been really great talking to you. Thank you.
Do we have the judges back?
So we actually don't have the judges back yet. The judges are still deliberating. So what we're going to
let's open it up to some more questions.
Exactly, perfect.
People can stick their, oh, I see, there was a note for me in the chat, sorry. But I wonder if people have questions they want to put in the chat. I'll have a look at those. But while I have Well, I have your attention. I can ask you a little bit more to maybe elaborate on some of the things that you talked about. Because I think that, you know, for me, one of the challenges in North America, and I'd be interested if it's also an issue in places like Nigeria, is in Canada, if you ask a group of people, name 5 entrepreneurs, chances are they're going to name Mark Zuckerberg, Elon, who founded Facebook, Elon Musk, who's, you know, the founder of Tesla, or Steve Jobs, you know, who's famous for his work with Apple, or Bill Gates, who's known for Microsoft. All men, all white, in tech. They're not going to say Oprah Winfrey, who is one of the richest women in the world. They're not going to say Kylie Jenner. And I may not like her much, but she was a billionaire at the age of 20, selling her products on Shopify, which is actually a Canadian internet platform. And I wonder if you have the same issues, you know, if women business leaders and entrepreneurs have a higher profile in countries like Nigeria compared to Canada, because one of our biggest problems is, you know, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And if there aren't any role models, if there aren't lots of strong women business leaders, we really have a challenge. I mean, there was a study done that showed that we had more CEOs in the US named James than we had women. So I wonder, do you see stereotypes and those kinds of expectations as a problem globally? Is it a problem in Nigeria? How do you see that issue?
It's a problem globally. And that's why I said earlier that we need to raise our girls with an understanding that there's nothing they cannot accomplish. They can do anything they set their minds to. And as we do that, we can then point out role models to them. They are bound all over the place, whether you're talking about Canada, you know, mainland USA, across the African continent, and within Nigeria, my own country. If you take Nigeria, for example, you have people like Mrs. Alakija, Folorunsho Alakija, who has a net worth of billions that she made from the oil industry. We have people like Bola Shagaya, who is a big-time businesswoman. She was the very first person to start dealing in photographic materials in the country. And she also plays in the oil and gas industry as well. You have people like Ibukwa Shika, who chairs one of the major banks in the country. And you have a communications mogul, Mo Abudu, who is our own version of Oprah Winfrey. So we can always point out these role models to our girls and tell them, you can be like them. But if you want to be like them, you have to stay in school. You have to avoid distractions. And we also need to do what we can to protect them from these distractions. And it's important for all these female role models to make themselves accessible, to mentor young people, to give lectures, to run summer camps, to provide scholarships or set up awards, or do something to give back in a way that makes this a part of what we are trying to achieve in the women's movement. Because it's not enough for us to prop up a handful of women. These handful of women have to translate somehow into a movement.
Really good points. I wonder, just picking up on your, excuse me, your comments about education. Canada actually has one of the highest rates of post-secondary completion in the world. It's one of the things we're known for doing quite well. And women actually are now graduating from both high school and university at rates higher than men. But one of the issues, and this is something I've been working on for 30 years, is getting women into science, less science, but more technology, engineering, and information systems kinds of programs. And it's interesting to me because a lot of the women you mentioned are in non-traditional fields. They're in fields that, at least in this country, are very heavily dominated by men. I wonder if you can comment about the issues around, quite apart from just basic education, attracting women and girls into engineering, into computer science, into those disciplines which are typically higher growth than some of the social sciences or other disciplines.
Okay, great. So that again goes back to the conversation around stereotypes. We were all brought up with one form of gender stereotype or the other. Girls wear pink and boys wear blue. Boys go to play football and girls stay in the kitchen to learn how to make the perfect pasta. Or in my neck of the woods, the perfect fufu. Now, how do you expect there to be a level playing field if girls are told from when they are very young that they shouldn't bother their pretty heads about learning about the sciences or about math? That if they don't know math, it's fine. Just concentrate on, on the humanities or on your cookery classes and you'll be fine. The world is not like that anymore. So what's happening now is we are telling our girls that they have to make subjects around STEM, what you've just spoken about, science, technology, engineering, and management. They have to make those subjects their priorities if they are in school, and then they can go ahead and stand a better chance in the field of life. If they want to veer off into the humanities and do all those other things, that's absolutely fine. But we need to give our girls a fighting chance by ensuring that we break down all the gender stereotypes and that we have teachers in the educational system who are gender conscious, who are trained, who are aware of these issues, so that they are not the ones who continue to perpetrate these stereotypes or these structural discriminations against our girls. Because if you want a girl to become an engineer and she's not, she's never learned how to be interested in mathematics or the sciences from when she was a young girl, it's not going to happen. So we need to break this down from a very early age. Recently, I worked on a project and doing a proposal for a World Bank project that started in Nigeria called Agile, Adolescent Girls in Learning and Education. And through this, we are trying to get educational authorities to make STEM important and also to address these issues around discrimination and stereotypes in the schooling system.
That's really helpful. One last question, and then I think our judges are popping back in one at a time, and we'll hand off to them. So I agree with you 100%. We have to encourage women to become computer scientists and to embrace engineering and so on. One of the challenges, though, that we have in Canada is not just what I would call occupational segregation, which is, girls are driven this way, boys that way, as you described so eloquently. Not just the underrepresentation of women still in leadership roles, although they're starting to bridge the gap. But even if they graduate in engineering, the evidence is still clear that they're likely to earn less than the men who are graduating in engineering. If they go into a technology-intensive company, chances are the environment is not going to be very conducive. And in fact, the word toxic has been applied to a lot of the big tech companies from the perspective of women and others. I wonder if you can comment a little bit about your views of what's the role of industry in all of this, and are there measures that you've seen that you think will help with that? We can push girls into these disciplines, but we also need the demand among employers to then make use of their talents once they graduate. Have you seen anything on that you'd like to share?
Okay, so this is where the legal and policy frameworks that I spoke about earlier, this is where they become important. Now, in 1979, the United Nations did the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, and many countries around the world are signatories to CEDAW, including Canada. The United States is not a signatory to CEDAW, but Canada is. Many African countries are. And African countries went a step further in 2004 to adopt the Maputo Protocol, which is the African Union's version of the domestication of CEDAW. But it then means that at national level, we also need to do the same. Now, what CEDAW does is addresses issues around institutional discrimination, which would also cover areas around the wage gap, the pay gap, and discrimination against women in the workplace. Now, what tends to be missing is the political will to ensure that there's no disconnect between the availability of these laws and policies and what it means in the lives of ordinary women. This is where advocacy comes in. This is where the women's movement comes in, women's groups. And the alternative structures that you spoke about earlier, that is one of the things that's supposed to be doing, drawing attention to this, doing the research, producing briefing papers, briefing your members of parliament, making it a political issue with the politicians when they're running for elections. You cannot expect my vote if you are not going to respect my rights as a woman or as a full citizen. So these are things that we can do at different, it depends on where we are on the democratic, scale or how things are ordered in different countries. But these are things we can all draw on because they cut across the experiences that women face all over the world.
Thank you very much. And that's just such a wonderful message that I think we all have to reinforce, whether we're in the global north or from the global south or anywhere in between. I think I'll check in, but I think
yes, the judges are
now back.
Yes, thank you so much,
so
Wendy.
We're all waiting to hear the results, so I will hand it back to the judges. And again, thank you so much, Your Excellency, for wonderful comments. I think we really hope we can continue this conversation.
I do too. Thank you very much, Prof.
So thank you guys so much for the great session. Today is a very special day. Thank you to all the presenters, Mrs. Fayemi, Mrs. Sukir, thank you as well. That was a very insightful discussion. So I'm going to hand it over now to the judge, Nancy. She's going to be announcing the order of winners, and after which we're going to have the announcement of prizes. First place will be announced by Wendy. The second place, Mrs. Fayemi, if you can be so gracious as to help us announce the second place winner. We will give that information to you, and then the third place will be announced by the Dell representative. So now I'm going to hand it over to Nancy, who's going to make the announcement.
So I just want to be clear, I'm making the announcement of the winners, right?
Yes, you're making the announcement of the winners.
Awesome. So I am actually really, really happy to make the announcement. And first of all, I want to say that all of the judges, it was a bit hard. You can tell it was hard for us to make the decisions because all of the presentations were amazing, by the way. So kudos to all of you for presenting, and we really appreciate you for presenting. So our first place winner is going to be Odoba Media. And we made this decision based on a lot of the characteristics that mentioned earlier. So it pretty much checked all of our boxes. Our second place winner will be Sugar, and of course our third place winner will be Afrocart. So those are our winners for today. Thank you so much. Again, these decisions were made based on presentation and viability in the market, as well as how much support that would be needed for the businesses as well. So thank you all.
All right, so thank you very much, Nancy. So thank you to our presenters. So again, first place was Adobe Media, second place was Sugar, and third place was Afrocart. I'm going to hand it over now to Wendy to make the announcement of the prize for first place. Wendy, you can take it away.
So thank you very much. And I'm here representing the Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, which is part of Canada's Women Entrepreneurship Strategy. And we think that entrepreneurship is key to driving economic development, not just in Canada, but around the world. So I'm very pleased to present the first place prize to Adobe Media. And it's a prize of $2,500. I hope you will spend it well. And you'll be receiving a check in the not too distant future. So big congratulations.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Congratulations again to our first place winners, Adobe Media. I'm going to hand it over now to Mrs. Fayemi to make the announcement of prizes for the second place. Sorry, your mic is still muted right now. Yes, we can hear you.
I don't have the information.
Oh, I am very sorry. I thought you knew. So I'll present the information to you. Our second place group is Sugar. So that was presented by Ajoke. And the prize is going to be $1,000 as well. So thank you very much. Sorry for the confusion and the mix-up. I thought you had the information, so that's my mistake. Apologies. But if you have anything to say to the winners, I'm going to give you a moment now to take the stage.
No, so congratulations. The name is Ajoke, right?
Yes, Ajoke is the winner.
Okay, so congratulations, Ajoke. I listened to your presentation. It was fantastic. I wish you all the very best.
Okay, so thank you very much again, and congratulations, Ajoke, for your second place cash prize. Amazing. Now I'm going to hand it over to Efosa, who should be added to the panelists, and he's going to announce the third place winner. And after which he has like a short announcement to make as well for all of our winners. So we're going to have Efosa added into the panel group now. 1 second. And Efosa, as soon as you're in, feel free to turn your camera on and your mic, and then you can make the presentation of prizes and then make your announcement as well.
Thank you very much. And big congratulations to the pitchers, to the entrepreneurs. So the third place prize is $500, and that's going to be awarded to the third team. So I'd like to say a big congratulations to you on behalf of Dell for Entrepreneurs Canada. Also, we're supporting Casa Foundation and supporting the pitch as was shared through the Dell for Entrepreneurs program. So more information is going to be given to the winners after the call through the office. Great presentations, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Efosa, for helping us with that information. So just to go over it again, third place was actually won by Afrocart, Stephen Ayeni. I'm sorry, it's been a very hectic day, but thank you for making that announcement, Efosa. And thank you again to our presenters. Just to go back again, first place was Adobe Media, who is getting $1,000, $2,500 actually. Second place goes to Sugar, who's getting $1,000. And third place goes to Afrocart, who won $500. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. Thank you for all your presentations. Thank you to Mrs. Fayemi, and thank you to Dr. Wendy Sukir. Right now, we're going to have an announcement made by the head of FOA of Casa Foundation. She's going to basically wrap this up, give her thank yous to everyone who came, and to all the presenters who didn't win. I'm still going to share that information, so please feel free to reach out to the judges and all the people on the panel. They should be responsive, and they'll be able to get back to you and follow up with prizes or with any questions you have, sorry. We're just waiting for Casa Foundation Chair to join, and then she would take it away. Okay, so Dr. Olu is now in the stream, and she would be given her thank yous.
All right. So thank you so much. It's been a wonderful evening of presentations and speeches at the fireside session. So first, let me start by once again thanking all of our pitch contestants from across the regions of Africa. Thank you, and Canada. Thank you so much for coming and for participating at the Pitch Masters Online. It's been such a wonderful experience with you guys, particularly those who went through the rigorous process of selection until you got to this grand finale. We really thank you for participating. To our judges tonight, we're going to say thank you also. Thank you so much, Cheryl, Edith, and Nancy. Such a pleasure to have you all here with us, building up entrepreneurs of the future and those who are going to drive the change that we require in our community and in this economy. Thank you so much. Professor Wendy Sukia, we also want to thank you for your participation at the pitch. You were here at the pitch session last year at Friends of Africa 2019, and we just want to recognize that and say thank you so much for all your contributions and for always being available to us at Casa Foundation. To all of the organizers, all our team members and the lead and members of the pitch committee, we also want to say thank you. Now, this is a pitch contest, and so we're not stopping. We have an arrangement with all our partners and stakeholders from Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, from Dell Technologies, from BMO, Bank of Montreal, Canada, and DMZ, and a host of other sponsors who have actually put all of this together and supported us to collaborate on this particular Pitch Masters. And we believe that we'll do a lot more. There were so many applications, but these were the ones that we could actually shortlist in such a short period of time. Last but not the least tonight, we're going to thank our guest of honor at the fireside chat, Her Excellency Mrs. Olabisi Adeleye-Fayemi, the First Lady of Ekiti State, Nigeria, and the chair of the Nigerian Governors' Wives GBV. That's against gender-based violence. So that's another project that she's running. She's also actually the co-founder of African Women Development Fund in Ghana. That's a grant-making institution that is actually supported by, that is actually collaborating also with the government of Canada to make grants to women entrepreneurs. We really want to thank you tonight for joining us. We want to say we appreciate your time and all the insights that you have actually shared at the fireside session. Thank you so, so much. Although there are a lot of questions that came in much later in the Q&A session, I think I still have about 4 of them that I can see. But because I'm not actually one of the moderators tonight, I'm not permitted to share those questions at this particular session tonight. However, I reckon the organizers will be forwarding some of those questions to the office of the First Lady so that we can have answers to those questions. And because a few of these groups are within our networks, then we can actually communicate the feedback to them thereafter. Thank you so much, Madam, for joining us. We really appreciate your time and your presence. And to all our audience, what can we say? First, we would apologize. Let me apologize on behalf of our organization, Casa Foundation, for a few technical hitches that we had in the first 2-3 minutes of this presentation tonight. We are mindful of the fact that we had those challenges connecting and actually getting into the session on the main stage and on the other platforms in the gallery. We have made some other efforts to ensure that as we progress and we make progress towards tomorrow, day 2 of the Friends of Africa Economic Development Summit, Some of those challenges have actually been addressed, and it should be pretty easy to connect with us and get into the gallery to watch and be a participant at day 2 main summit events and various plenary sessions. We thank you so much for coming tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, starting at exactly 8:30 a.m. That's in the morning, definitely. EST, Canadian time. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Olu, for the address. And again, thank you to all the presenters. Thank you to the judges on the panel. Thank you to the speakers, Dr. Wendy Sukia and Mrs. Fayemi as well. This was a great session. I hope everyone took something away from this. I hope all the presenters had a good time. Again, I will be sharing all the contact information for panelists, with presenters, and any other information regarding redemption of prizes and all the other things you need to know. So you can expect to get that information after this. Just to reiterate Dr. Olu's point as well, we invite everyone to the session tomorrow. Thank you to all the audience on all the different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, all the people as well who were present in the Zoom call. So we want to thank you all. We're closing for the night. And just also let the winners know, I will be letting you know all the redemption information with regards to getting your prizes. Your checks will be sent shortly, but follow up with me if you have any more questions. The Zoom link will be rounding up shortly. So on behalf of the FOA planning team, thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and for those in Canada, a good long weekend coming up. Stay safe, and everyone have a good night. Bye, guys.